Resourceful Coach, and today we're going to do a little bit of a lesson on-course lesson and how to manage your game. Now, you can see we've ended up in a poor position here, and what I find is with a lot of golfers, once they go into the trees, there seems to be an inconsistency of how they play the shot, and they tend to, I don't know if it's an element of panic, they walk in, they don't really think the shot through. So what we're going to do today is show you a shot you're probably okay with, and that's sort of a shot what we call like a chip and run into the green and maybe an 8-iron, and how we look at that and how we learn to play it and how we can help us to play this particular shot. Now, I've not hit a great tee shot. I'm in the trees here, and the green is over there, but there's trees all in the way. So the only route out is to get back onto the fairway. And the way I always look at it, if I hit a really poor shot, as I walk down the fairway, I think, okay, what do I deserve now on this hole? Okay, so in this situation, this is actually a par 3. I've hit a poor tee shot to here, and I can't get on the green. So what do I deserve? I think, well, if you get out of here with a 5, that's about what you deserve, because you can't get it on for 3 and 2 putts. If I could get out of here with a little bit better than that, maybe I might get a 4. I've had a result. But what I see a lot of golfers do, they turn what should be no worse than a 5, what could be a 5, and they turn it into a 6 or a 7. And it's a little bit, probably a little bit mental, because they've hit the poor shot in the first place and they're a little bit frustrated with themselves, and then they don't use other shots to help them. So what do we got here? We've got a pretty poor lie, but we're coming out, and the fairway out here is fine. And if I have a little bit of a wander out of here, I've got to keep it under the limbs of the tree. We're coming out here. And as I look at it now from here, if I can get and land the ball to here, it's not particularly thick, the grass here, I can get myself back on the fairway, I can see the flag, I give myself a chance. And what I tend to see people do when they get into this situation is they overhit it, they hit it way over the other side of the fairway, or they hit the limbs of the tree. So first thing to do when you get here is just stop, think about the shot. So we're going to think about another shot. Okay, we're going to go and have a look at what happens if you've got an 8-iron chip and run onto the green, how you would play that. So to help us play that shot out of the trees, we're just going to play what I'd call a standard 8-iron chip and run shot onto the green. And straight away, when people see this shot, the first thing they think about is they're going to keep the ball pretty low. So that's going to help us to come under the limbs of the tree. The second thing when we play this shot, we start to learn where's it going to land, how far's the ball going to roll. And that's what we need to do out of the trees as well. We need to make sure that when we're playing out of the trees, we're thinking, where do I want to land it? How do I expect the ball to run? So I end up in a decent position to give me a chance to play this shot. So use this shot. Now, just go through the technique of a chip and run shot. We've got quite a bit of green here to work with. That's why we're using the shot, and the grass running up, all fairway, all pretty good. But what I want to do, I don't want to think power. I've got an 8-iron, so I want to keep control. I want to keep the ball low. That's the first reason of the 8-iron. But then I'm going to use my setup to keep it low. So I'm looking at a landing spot where I think, well, if I land it there, I'd expect the ball to do this. My setup, I go narrow because I don't want power. That also gets me feeling a little bit more upright in my position, which straight away then gives me the feeling that I want to grip a little bit more down the club to get control. And the key thing to keep that ball low, people when they chip, they think play it off their front foot. No, get it, especially when you're hitting it low, keep it off your back foot. You want the handle to be what I call winning the race. It wants to be ahead of the ball. It wants to be ahead of the club head. That keeps the sensation. Remember what we did on one of my previous videos? It's not way ahead, you're just favoring that position. So I just position the middle of my body, center where I want to get the low point there. So now the ball is just near my back foot. We're not looking for power. So we're just using that imagination of the shot, land the ball just before the green and let it run out. So distance-wise, really nice. I've landed that similar to what I want to do out of those trees in a minute. I want to get it about 20 yards forwards, and then once the momentum of that ball hits the ground, it's going to run. Remember, there's 2 parts to a golf shot, the flight and the roll. Most people start to get it with an 8-iron when they're chipping onto the green, and I've given myself a chance there. When you're coming out of the trees, do exactly the same thing. But let's go and play the shot out of the trees, and let's see how we can get on. Okay, so we're back here. We're going to learn from that shot. We've chipped the ball onto the green nicely with an 8-iron, and we didn't look for a lot of height. So the great thing here with our shot now is I want to keep it under the limbs of the tree. I can use that. I'm a little bit affected by this tree, so I can't do a big swing on the way through because I might hurt myself or the club. So, but what we've just shown you, we just did a little half swing with an 8 iron, and we landed the ball about 25 yards in front of us, and it ran onto the green nicely. So we can use that same shot. We're going to use exactly the same technique. I'm going to get control of the club. I don't want to hit this at full power. I don't want to be here. I don't want to knock it over the other side into the other side of the trees. I want to think about where I'm going to land the ball. So I'm going to take that narrower stance that we said about on the 8 iron shot onto the green there, and now I'm looking at my landing spot. I've chosen a club. I've played it back in my stance to keep it under the limbs of the tree. And all I'm looking to do now is play the same shot that I did back onto the fairway. Okay, middle of the fairway, great. As we said at the start, a 5 from this position isn't a bad score. Okay, the tee shot was the problem. Don't compound the problem and make it worse by leaving it in the trees or fizzing it over the other side. Think it through. Think of it like a little chip and run shot so you can get that ball onto the green. We can start to do that. The worst case scenario might be a hole you probably make a 4 on average anyway on this par 3. You're only going to be 1 shot worse, but by getting in play, it will only be 1 shot worse. And you never know. I've put that in position. I've just practiced that 8 iron shot onto the green. I might put it close enough that I might be able to hold the putt and still get out of here with a 4. So use your other shots. Look at shots that you play generally when there's nothing in the way. Can you use them to get you out of trouble? Whether that's coming out the trees, bunkers, rough. Think about it, but don't rush the shot. I think that's the important thing. Golfers get into position, they rush it because they've got guys behind. They're not thinking clearly what to do. Look at what's in front of you. Look at how much grass you've got the other side. From that position, then you can learn to use other shots to help you play better shots from these positions. I hope you enjoyed that tip. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.